Hey YouTube, I wanted to get a quick video out today regarding the disappearance of 21-year-old Caleb Harris. Yet another disappearance that has picked up media attention, this time taking us to Corpus Christi, Texas. This comes from a request by a subscriber, so thank you for the information. I'd like to give you all as coherent a timeline of the disappearance and investigation as I think I can, while I offer my own insights into the case. For those who are new here, my name is Blue, and I'm a police officer in Florida with 10 years of experience. I post all things true crime here and try to give you guys an inside look into the jobs of the police in these cases, so if you like that sort of thing, feel free to subscribe. Also, these opinions are just my own based on my own experiences in the field, and not the opinions of any organization. With all that said, let's get into it. Caleb Harris is a 21-year-old Texas A&M University student from Corpus Christi, Texas. Caleb disappeared from his off-campus apartment in the early hours of Monday, March 4th, 2024. His case is difficult, as it is another case with frustratingly few leads, and weeks later, just as few developments. Let's take a look at the night of his disappearance. That evening, Caleb was hanging out at his apartment, the Cottages at Corpus Christi, on the 1900 block of Ennis-Joslin Drive. Caleb was home with a friend and a roommate. Apparently at around 2:45 that morning, Caleb is reported as returning from walking his roommate's dog around the apartment complex. Caleb would then order Uber Eats, and apparently went back outside to wait for the order. While the order was eventually left on his doorstep, Caleb never got it, and he never returned. So what happened? What do we know so far? Well, from what I've been able to find, Caleb is seen walking away from the home, barefoot on camera. Investigators believe that Caleb only had his phone on him, as he left his wallet and car keys in the apartment. Per Caleb's parents, they saw that Caleb had ordered some food for his lunch the following day from Uber Eats, something he was known to do. According to police, Caleb seems to have simply vanished. His phone was with him, but was either turned off, died, or was destroyed just after he left the home. So what investigative steps were taken? What do we know? And what makes a case like this so hard to investigate? Well, let's start with the detectives' initial impressions after the disappearance. According to what they've informed the family about, the family claims he kind of vanished. There's no evidence of wrongdoing, but there's no evidence at all. And so it's a matter of looking at every inch, everything we could possibly think of. It's truly a mystery. The first thing that many people thought, and I know I did, was the Uber driver involved. It would not be unheard of for an Uber driver to commit a crime against a passenger, even kidnapping. Let's take a look at a few examples here. In one instance, an Uber driver fled from a traffic stop with a person inside, resulting in a kidnapping charge. In another case, a woman was abducted by a man posing as an Uber driver and held until she was rescued at a gas station after slipping someone a note. And finally, another instance of kidnapping where the driver refused to stop and continued driving past the drop-off point, causing the passenger to have to dive out of the moving car. But early reports seem to indicate that police followed up with this driver, and the driver reports never having even seen Caleb, and simply dropped off his food at the front door and went on about his night. The order was shown as completed at 3:20 a.m. This is the earliest lead, and unfortunately, it went nowhere. So one of the first things police do when taking the report of a missing person is to try and ascertain the person's state of mind, as well as physical and mental health history. We try our best to find out if the person is a habitual runaway, such as many juveniles that continually run away from home. We want to know if they have a history of depression or suicidal ideation, or really any kind of mental illness, so we know if that had a part to play in their disappearance, and if they may be a danger to themselves or not. Like in many cases, police turn to the parents for these answers. But the parents say Caleb is a bright, happy 21-year-old, a typical college student with big dreams for the future. Caleb is described as a healthy outdoorsman who had upcoming plans to go fishing with friends at a new spot they had recently found. Caleb's father, Randy Harris, spoke to Caleb the evening before he disappeared. Randy told investigators that he believed that Caleb's actions prove he did not run away or want to harm himself, stating it's his intentions. I mean, texting us, Snapchatting his friends, everything. They just got a new dog that evening, and they were out playing with the dog and signed the lease on the apartment for the next year. Caleb's actions, as described by the father, were proven by later evidence. Caleb had sent Snapchats to multiple family members of the new household dog. He was hanging out with his roommate, the dog, and a friend the same night as they walked around the complex, and a nearby Ring camera would prove this. Let's take a look at the last footage of Caleb Harris before his disappearance, or at least the last one publicly released.
Our coverage this Friday night into the urgent search for Caleb Harris. Tonight, we're reviewing new video of the Island University student appearing to be from the last night that he was seen.
A Ring camera capturing some of his last movements before his mysterious disappearance.
So take a look here. Caleb can be seen in the parking lot at his off-campus apartment complex off of Ennis-Joslin around 1 a.m. He was with one of his roommates, a friend, outside playing with the dog. Caleb's face visible as he looked toward the Ring camera before they make their way back in the other direction on that night in early March.
And the search for Caleb Harris now in its third week. Just yesterday, his parents offering a reward of $25,000 for his safe return. Now, to create a sense of urgency for anyone who may have information and hasn't come forward yet, a deadline of March 31st has been placed on that reward. You can call Crime Stoppers where you can remain anonymous. And we will, of course, continue to follow this story and update you with any new developments.
Take a look at that footage. Caleb appears totally fine, and his smile is so big it's pretty easily made out, even on a grainy camera. He appears to be walking and having fun with friends and the new dog. No signs of stress, intoxication, that he was under duress or had been hurt, just nothing. Again, he appears totally fine. It's both a relief that there doesn't appear to be anything insidious going on, and also frustrating. Sometimes, no answers are worse than a bad answer, especially when someone disappears. But police would hit the ground running alongside the community as the search began. In the morning, police cadets, and friends and family of Caleb began a large search of the area, a search that as of now has covered hundreds of acres around the area, and has also included searches in 2 other cities. Police were searching for anything, articles of clothing, shoes, a phone, anything that could put them on Caleb's trail. So far, searchers have come up empty-handed, but that has not stopped search efforts. You've heard me say before, and I'll continue to say that the community is our biggest resource in solving crimes and finding missing people. Police can only really be as effective as the citizens we serve. In this case, despite the minimal media coverage compared to the recent Riley Strain case, there has been a huge outpouring of support for the family. For the last 3 weeks, volunteers from organizations throughout Texas, including Texas Search and Rescue, have journeyed out with canine units and dirt bikes to search a wide area of North Padre Island. Another search and rescue team, a professionally trained volunteer first responder group, has been stationed in town for at least 2 weeks, utilizing underwater drones in the coastal waters to locate any clues they can. Friends and community members have formed their own crews to scour roads, shorelines, nature preserves, and heavily wooded areas and secluded areas of the island, including Victoria Park and Suter Wildlife Refuge. Some searches have been conducted in a nearby baseball complex just behind the cottages. As you can see, the community and police are throwing every resource they have into finding Caleb. Corpus Christi police detectives have said that after their interviews, they do not have any reason to suspect the family and the friends of Caleb as being involved in his disappearance. Officers also went door to door at his apartment complex and a nearby apartment complex looking for possible witnesses or surveillance video. In addition, they searched more than 30 vacant apartments, and yet still, there was nothing. It really does seem like Caleb is just up and vanished off the face of the earth, but we know that's not the case. We know something must have happened to him, either by his own hand or someone else's, or perhaps by something that's referred to as an act of God. So what are the possibilities in this case? Now, these are just theories based on what I've seen in the past in my own experience, but one possibility is that Caleb just walked away. Suicide is possible. We covered what the parents said above and why they do not believe that this is a possibility. But despite that, we have to look at statistics. Suicide has been a problem for a long time in young men, one that is on the rise. And with the stresses of life, performing in college, etc., it's not an impossibility. But I do agree that it's likely the least possible outcome, at least based on what we know now. So what about the question that's on everyone's mind? What about abduction? Well, the timeline of his disappearance, as well as the actions leading up to it, seem to support this as a possibility. Caleb had numerous plans for his life, both big and small, and had just signed another year-long lease. There are no signs from his family of depression or suicidality, and even footage just hours before the disappearance shows him in high spirits. Caleb walks outside with just his phone, not even wearing shoes. Anyone that's ordered late-night Uber Eats knows that's all you need to go and grab your food. The most unusual part of this is that Caleb's phone just goes off for some reason, and he doesn't return, and he doesn't grab his food. He's not reported or seen to be high or drunk the night of, like we saw with Riley Strain. This theory seems like a very likely reason behind his disappearance, but why? There's been no known motive discovered or at least released, and Caleb wasn't reported to have any enemies. We hope and pray the police uncover something more, but as of now, that appears to be all. But this area, just like any other populated area of the US, is no stranger to missing people. In recent years, here are just 2 examples of college students who took their own lives, discovered after they were reported missing. One case stemmed from likely poor performance in college. This is sadly not as uncommon as we all wish it would be. Continue to pray, as I have asked you all to join me, for the safe return of Caleb, and just as much for the missing that we don't even know about, which is the vast majority. But that's going to bring us to the end of this case, guys. Just as in Sebastian Rogers' case, we all hope and pray they are found safe and return home. But tell me guys, what do you think about this case? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear any theories you all have. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing. And as always guys, stay safe and stay tuned.